Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome to another lesson on Angular Basics. And in this video, we'll just continue from the last lecture only and we'll move a step ahead, right? So in the last video, we have seen how we can set up our development environment, how we can integrate Bootstrap in our Angular application to make it pretty good, right? And we have implemented a simple navbar in that last video, right? So now in this video, we'll just move a step ahead, right? So what I have did till now is I have just replaced that brand with this brand logo, right? That value navbar with this brand logo. This is Smart Code Hub logo. I have taken this uh, nav small menu in the center, right? And I have just removed the form which was over here, right? And just changed the color of it, the background. And this background color I have taken from this UI gradient website, right? Which have more beautiful gradients. You can use any one of your choice. So let's quickly see how you can change one. So we'll go to this. We'll say I'll select one of it. So let's go with the stripe one, right? So I'll copy it. Click on this Get CSS button and click on this click to copy, right? And once it is copied to your clipboard, move to your application and the styles.css. I have made this change. So I'll just replace it, right? You have to create one class and then paste the CSS over there, right? And just copy the class name, go to your app.component.html and the navbar where it was showing bg-dark or bg-grad1, you have to put your own class over there and your navbar should change, right? Okay. So now let's see what we can do with it. So let's say we want to add a header, a slider to our application, right? To our homepage, a carousel to our homepage, right? So what we will do is we'll go to this getbootstrap.com, right? We'll search for carousels, CROU, right? And we'll click on this first result, which says carousel, right? And it will take you the home page. It will take you to the home page of carousel, right? So just scroll down, right? And we will just take the skeleton from here. So let's say we need this one, right? So this is the full-blown slider which has everything: image, heading, subheading, indicators, and everything, right? So just scroll down, click on this copy button, right? It will copy the skeleton of this particular carousel. So we'll copy it and we'll move to our application. And over here, what we will do is we'll create a one div. So let's create one div, right? And give it a class of container dash fluid, right? And under that we'll have one more div with, let's say, class row, right? And under that we'll have one more div with call dash 8, and under that we will paste this code, right? So to go to your application, it will not work because we don't have the images for now. So what we will do is we'll use one of the cool trick of VS Code, which is multi-cursor, right? So you can use multiple cursors. So I'll show you how. Suppose I want to change the source tag, right? This source tag, this source tag, and this source tag, right? At once. So what I'll do is I'll click on the source tag from where I want to change it, right? So I'll click on this portion, right? And then I'll press the Alt key. And with the Alt key pressed, I'll again click on the next place where I want the cursor to be. So let's say I want the cursor to be over here also and over here also. So now you can see I have three cursors on my screen which will work simultaneously, right? So let's change. So I'll just delete the last dot, put a slash sx images and fbp1.jpg. So this is an image which I have put, right? I just added this image, right? So let's save it. And you can see now we have a working carousel over here, right? Now the image is an issue, image style, right? Image height. So let's fix it. So I'll just add one class over here. Let's say image dash slider. I'll copy it, go to this, and okay, I already have this image. So the name of the class is slider dash image, and under that I had just added the height of the image, right? I just added the height of the image. So let's go back over here, put slider image, paste it. Again, for pasting this class also you can use that multiple cursors. For now you can see now we have this cool slider over here, right? So what? So now what? Now the thing is this carousel is hard coded, right? This is hard coded and there is nothing special about Angular in it. Right? It's a simple bootstrap carousel which we have implemented. So let's see how we can make this carousel dynamic. Right? How we can make this carousel dynamic. So let's start. So the first thing which I see is the data is hard coded, right? And we don't want the data to be hard coded. I want that this title, this subtitle, and this image should come from backend. Right? In the real world scenario, these things will come from backend, and in our case also, when we will have a database from Firebase, this data will come from Firebase, right? So we can't hard code it, right? And the slide numbers are also not fixed. They can also change. There can be 4 slides, there can be 8 slides, 10 slides, right? So our carousel should be capable of handling those changes, right? Our code. So what we will do is, first thing, we'll change this data to dynamic data from our component. So for now, what I have did is, for time's sake, I have this array which is named as feature post, right? And I had created this interface also, blog post, which has these 3 properties: title, image, URL, and subheading, right? So based on that, we have this simple array, right, which have 3 posts in it, and each post has an image, URL, title, and subheading, right? So let's see what we can do with it, right? So let's say I want to show all this feature post in this slide, right? If there are three feature posts are there, then there should be 3 slides, right? And if there are 4, let's say we have this slides, this one repeated, right? Let's name it as next, right? Okay. So now 4 slides are there. That 4 entries are there in this array. Then there should be 4 slides, right? So with this kind of concept, like as many slides, as many items we have, we want to show that much slides. So we are talking about loops, right? We want to run a loop for each item in this array, right? For each item in this array, we want to create a slide, right? So what we will do is we'll copy this feature post. We'll go to our app component.html, right? And over here you can see we have 3 slides. So this is the first slide, this is the second slide, and this is the third slide, right? So whatever we will do is we will just delete these 2 slides, right? And we want to render this particular item, this particular carousel item, for each post which is there in that array, right? So we will do a loop over here, and in Angular for loop we have a special directive, that is ng-for directive, right? And what that directive will do is that directive will repeat itself. Now suppose this item we have, right? This item we have, and I want to show it 2 times. So for that, what I will do is ng-for, right? I'll say star, and I'll tell you what this asterisk means, why we use it everywhere in upcoming videos, right? So we'll do ng-for and then let item of feature post array, right? Now this is also an array. Now remember, ng-for only runs with arrays, right? ng-for only runs with arrays. You cannot run ng-for for an object, ng-for with an object, right? There is a special case when we can run ng-for with an object, and we'll come to it later, right? But for now, remember, ng-for can only be used with arrays. So now what we are doing is let item of feature post. So this item will have everything, right? Will be this slide, right? This item. So it will have image, URL, title, and subheading, and we can confirm it. How? So we will copy this item, and just before this image, what we will do is we will use the binding expression, paste our item, and we will use one pipe, JSON pipe, right? JSON. So what basically pipes are basically used to manipulate the data, right? Format the data. And in the upcoming videos, I'll tell you how to use pipe, how to create pipe. We will create our own pipes also. But for now, this is a pipe. This is a pipe syntax, right? And this is the name of the pipe. So let's see So now you can see we have data and it is overlapping, and I'll tell you why it is overlapping. But for now, this is confirmed that we have data, right? We have this image URL, we have this title, but all the data of all the posts is being overlapped, right? It's being overlapped over here. So what we will do is just delete this one because we know we have data now. So the problem is this active class, right? Now if you'll inspect the elements, right, then you'll see we have this active class for all these 4 items, right? For all these 4 items, we have this active class, and that should not be the case, right? Active class should only be applied to one item at a time, right? So just to prove it, we'll go to Bootstrap, we'll inspect it, and you can see over here, currently the active class is applied to the second item, and as the slide changes, the active class changes, right? But in our case, all the 3 items have this active class, right? All the 4 items have this active class. So let's see how we can solve this issue, right? So we'll navigate to our code, and this active class we want to apply only to the first item of this feature post array, only to the first item. So how we can get the first item, how we can know that whether the current slide is the first slide or not, right? So for that, in ng-for we have one more syntax. So we'll put a semicolon over here and we'll say, let's say first as is first, right? So with this ng-for, you will also get some of the what we say metadata, or some of the details related to the current slide, whether this particular slide is first or not, or let's say last as is last, right? Now this is last, is last, this is first, these are alias, right? Now what we are asking is, we are asking that ng-for loop give the first element as is first. If this particular item is the first element, then give it as true, like this is first will be true if this item is first, is last will be true if this item is last, right? And similarly, if this item, like it is based on the index, right? If the index of this item in this array is first, right, then this will be true. If this is last, index is last, then this will be true. And if that index is even, right? So even as is even, right? Then this is even will be true if that index is even. And similarly, we have, as you guessed, odd, right? Okay. And of course, we have the index also. So we have index as high, right? So these are all the things which we can get from ng-for, right? So now let's say we have this. We know that if the slide is first slide, the first slide in case of first slide, this is first variable will be true, right? In case of first slide, this is first variable will be true. Now based on this variable, I want to apply a class, right? Now remember it. Focus on it, right? Now based on this variable which will have a boolean value of either true or either false, I want to apply a class to this div, right? So what we will do is, to apply a class based on a particular condition, we have a syntax. So we'll say class, right? And then the name of the class. Let's say the name of the class is active, right? And when we want to apply it, right, if this is first is true, right? So this, in this syntax, we have the class, right, and then the name of the class, and then true or false. Let's say, suppose if I'll say true, then it will be added. This class will be added. Let me just show it to you and see. This class is added, right, active. And if I set it to, okay, let me just remove it. Okay. So now, as you can see, we have this active class added to all the 4 elements, right? And if I set it to false, right, this active class won't be added. You won't be able to see anything over here, right? See, no one has this active class, right? So now, when we want to set it true, when this is first is true, right? So we can say is first over here, If it is true, then add it. If it is not true, then don't add it, right? And in that case, you'll see we have only slide first have this active class, and not all the slides have this active class, right? And this carousel is also working now, right? Okay, for now I'll just remove this indicators because they are taking too much spaces. So let's delete it, and we have this cursor, right? Okay. So now let's change this data. So now we have this active class, right? Now suppose you want to add one more class, and it is last active, right? To the last element. So for that, what you have to do is you have to again rewrite this syntax, right? You have to again rewrite the syntax. So let's rewrite it, and let's say I want to apply a class last active if this element is last is true, right? So now if we will inspect it, we'll see. Let's say, see the last element has this class last active, right? And no other class has it, right? Now let's say to each even class we want to apply even, if to each even element we want to apply even class. So let's say even, right? If is even, right? So now if you'll see, we have a class even if is even, E capital, sorry. Okay, so just a second, just open it. Okay, so now you can see all the even elements. See, the first element is even, the second element is even. They have this even class, right? And the odd will have the odd class. Now this first is even because the index starts with 0, right? So the 0 is even, 2 is even, right? And similarly, you can apply the odd class also, right? You can apply a odd class if is odd is true, right? So I hope these things are making sense to you, right? This is nothing but we are just applying a class based on certain condition. If that condition is true, we will apply it. If that condition is not true, we will not apply it, right? So you can see now we have this see even, odd, right? Even, and this is odd. This is last active, and this is the first class will have this active class, the first line, right? So all these things are working, right? Now this approach has a problem in it, and that problem is clearly visible, that we have to rewrite ourselves, right? We have to rewrite the syntax again and again, right? And that should not be the case, right? So what we can do is we can replace this thing with a better approach or a recommended approach, right? For that, we will use a built-in directive of Angular, that is ng class, right, to add this class dynamically. So we'll say ng class, right, CLESS class, and then this particular directive will accept a object, a configuration object, right? A object, right? And in that object, there will be two things, right? Key value, key value, key value, like that. So the key will be the name of the class. So let's say the name of the class is active, and the value will be whether you want to apply that class or you don't want to apply that class. So this is the active and this is the value. This is the key, this is the value, right? So let's say this active is the key, right? This is the class name, and is first is the condition I want to apply it or not, right? This is the first element. Let's go to second element. So we'll put a comma over here and then give the second property. The second property, the name will be the name of the class, and the value will be whether we want to show it or not, right? Is last. Similarly, we will apply this even also. So even, and the value will be is even, right? The last thing will be is odd and is odd, right? So let's say go to odd, and the value will be is odd, right? So let's delete this one. For now, let's comment this one, right? Save it, and you'll see nothing is working because let's delete it, right? Okay. And here we are, the things are still working in that way only. We have this even class, we have this odd class, last condition is also working, and the first condition is also working as our Carousel is working, right? Okay, so this is how you can use ng class. Now there is a better approach to use ng class, and I'll show you how you can use it. But for now, let's say this is the ng class, right? And what you can do is you can actually, it is an object, right? You're directly passing an object to it, and directly passing an object to it, you can also use a function which returns this object, right? So let's say we have a function. So we have a get. Okay, first let me copy this, and let's say we have a function get slider class, right? And it will accept 4 properties because these properties we need to pass, right? So let's say we'll pass is first, right? Is last, pass is even, and let's say is odd, right? So these are the properties which we will pass. So in our component.ts, we will create this function. So we will create this function, let's say get slider class, right? And this function, we will return this object, right? And this will be the parameters which this function will accept. So we'll have this, we'll have is last, we'll have is even, we will have is odd, right? I hope it is making sense to you. Which we have a function which will accept these 4 parameters: is first, is last, is even, is odd, and based on this parameters, it will return a configuration object with classes, right? Whether we want to apply this class or not. So let me just verify the function name. So I'll copy this get slider class, go to my component.html, paste it over here, and still you can see everything is working as expected. And if we will inspect it, we'll have all the classes as earlier, right? Okay, so these are the ways you can use ng class, right? And there are many more ways, and I'll tell you when we will use it, right? So what I think is, first let's create the need of any particular thing, why we need it, right? And then if I'll explain it to you, that will be much better for you, right? Okay. So now we have this ng class, we have looked at ng for ng class, right? Now let's make this data dynamic, right? So we have this loops, right? We have this item over here. So let's use this item. So you can change the source tag of image dynamically. What you have to do is you have to just put it in this way, in this square bracket, write source and then give the value. So the value is item dot image URL, right? Let's see. Yes, now we have all these 3 images differently, right? Let's change the title and the sub heading also in this way. So we will change it. We'll use the binding expression item dot title, and similarly we will have item dot sub heading. Okay, save it, and we have a working carousel, right, which is dynamic in nature, right? Okay. Now let's say there are some cases, right, when it is not possible for us to get a class, right? Now suppose in this app component.html, we'll see we have this active class, right? And this class has some CSS, some styles related to it, right? Which is static, right? This CSS style related to classes are static, right? You cannot change the CSS dynamically, right? Based on a class, right? Now suppose if I have this class carousel item and I want to change the CSS of it, the internal CSS of it, that is not possible. Right? So for that we have styles, right? Which we can apply to elements at runtime, right? Simple styles. Now suppose if I want to change the color of this, or let's say I want to change the anything like heading height of it, right? So let's say I want to give the height. So how we use style is we use the style tag and then we can say the height, right? So let's say I want to give the height of 100 VH, right? I'll save it. So you won't be able to see it, but that div now have a height of 100 VH. Let me show you how. So where this div was, okay, so here you can see now this div has a height of 100 VH, right? So this is the perfect point where you can change the styles dynamically, right? Now the classes are static. You cannot change them once they are defined. They are defined, right? If you want to apply a different style to that particular element in the way of classes only, you have to create multiple classes and then apply different classes based on a condition, right? But in some cases, let's say suppose this is the style, right? And let me show you a very practical example. Suppose we don't have this image tag over here. Right? We don't have this image tag over here, and the height of this div is 80 VH, right? It is not visible, so let me try to make it visible. So let's change the background color of it to white for now. And you can see now this is the div, right? This is our cursor. And I want to give a background image to this div, right? To every div I want to give a background image, right? So how we give a background image? So we give a background image with this property, let's say background image, and then we say URL, right? And then we say we'll give the path of it, right? So it's assets, ASS, assets slash images slash fbp1.jpg. Okay. So here we have, right? Now, okay. So this thing we will fix it, but we have our purpose solved, right? Now we have a background image to that div, right? And I'll show you why we use this background image, right? So let's fix this. Let's fix the styles first, right? So let's say this is the background image, right? And the second property, the second style which I will give to it will be background. Background position, or let's say size, right? The background size will be covered, right? Save it, and you'll see this image now covers the whole div, right? So this is working, right, for now. So let me tell you why we are using style, right? This background style in place of our standard image tag, right? So let's say suppose if I want to give a blur or a gradient on this image, right? Now with this styles, we can give it in a much better way. Suppose if I again navigate to this uigradient.com and I will just select a gradient over here. And let's say we will go with the deep one. Let's say this one, dark blue, right? I'll copy this and I'll just copy this linear gradient part, right? I'll just copy this linear gradient part. I'll copy it. I'll go to my app component.html and this background image will change with background, right? So we have this background, then this URL, right? I will put a comma over here, or we will put it over here in front only, and then a comma over here. Save it and let's see whether it worked or not. So now we have this gradient, right? Now we want to show image beside this gradient, right? So we'll just lower the opacity of this gradient. So I'll hover on it, and I'll try to lower the opacity. So I'll just put it down, and this color also I'll go to this level, save it, and you can see now we have this image and we have this beautiful blurry effect of this gradient, right? You can play with it, you can use any gradient of your choice. Okay, so now here we are. I have removed all the styles, and as a result you can see our website looks something like this. We don't have anything now, right? So let's try to implement styles in Angular way, right? So the first style will give a height to our items, right? To our slides. So as we were having in the classes case, we will have styles in the same way, right? So we'll say style, right? Then the name of the style. So the name of the style is height, right? And the value will be, let's say it's 80 BH, right? So the value is 80 BH, correct? So we're using this single quotes, right? Remember, whenever you pass a static value, right, in these expressions, you should use quotes like this, right? Single quotes and double quotes. Because if you will write it directly in the double quotes, it will be considered as an expression, right? And it's not an expression, it's a value, right? So we will use single quotes. We are telling that this is a static string, right? So this is the height. So now we have a height. Okay. And the second thing will be background image, right? So say background, say background, and the value will be URL, right? Then this way we'll do a string concatenation because we want the URL in that way, right? And here we will have item dot image URL, right? Save it, and you should have something like this, right? Now the next style will be background size. So let's say style dot background size is equal to, and again we'll pass a static string that is count, right? So should, okay, it will not change. Let's see why it didn't change, because it should be ground, right? Ground size. Okay. And with this change, our application will work as expected, right? Now let's give it a 100% width, right? So we do a 12 over here, right? So it will give us 100% width, right? Okay. So again, the issue is we are again rewriting ourselves, right? As in the case of the classes. Now remember, this kind of syntax is good if you want to apply just a one style, right? But if you want to apply multiple style, it's always recommended to use another way which accepts object, right? So as we were having in ng classes, in ng style also we have a directive, that is ng style, which accepts a configuration object. So we'll say ng style, right? And then we'll accept a configuration object. And in this configuration object, the key value property will be same, right? As we were having in the case of classes. In the style also will have the same, but only the difference is we'll have a key, right? Which will be the name of the property. So in our case, let's say this height is the name of the property, right? So we'll have height, and the value will be its value, its original value, right? So in our case, it is let's say 80 VH, right? Or let's say 85 VH, right? So remove this style from here, and we save it, and you see it grow, because if VH we have, because this is single quote and single quote, right? So simple. Okay, yeah, this is also a simple. It won't work because just try to leave it working this way. But again it will break. Okay. Won't break. Okay. So this is the first style, right? Now let's give the second style. The second style will be, the value will be this background, right? So we'll have the value as background, and the property will be again like this only. So we'll have a string concatenation like this, right? This is a string concatenation, and we remove this one, right? It should still work, but we have it, right? And then the last style will be background size. So it will be like this, right on the size, and the value will be covered, right? And let's try to remove this. And yes, we have our application still working, but the code is now a bit readable, right? You know this is a configuration object which has this property and these are the values, right? Now again, you can use a function which returns this value. So we will say we have a function get slider style, right? And it will accept item.image URL because we want to make an image URL as a background URL, right? Background image. So we will have this function get slider style in our app component.ts. So let's say we have get slider styles, right? In the function, it will have this and it will accept the URL, right? And this function will return the object which have all the styles, right? Okay, now here in TypeScript we will use string concatenation in a different way, string calculate interpolation. So let's say we have a URL, right? And then under that we will have single quotes. Okay, and wherever you want to use a variable, you have to put a dollar sign and then this curly braces, and you can use your variables. Let's say this is my variable, right? URL, and just copy this function name and paste it over here. Okay, so we have this and it is perfect, right? Now the styles are coming from our image file. Okay, now let's add that linear gradient also. So let me navigate to UI gradient. UI gradient. So let's see which gradient we can use. So we'll go with the let's say this one. Right. Copy it. Okay, I'll not copy it, I'll just copy this linear gradient for now. Right. And let me paste it over here just to change this colors, right? Because they have 100% opacity for now, right? So say right now, this one, right? Now let me change this color. So this is a cool trick to take this color's opacity down, just scroll it down this way, this color picker. And this also scroll it down up to here, right? I think we have this linear gradient. This linear gradient will apply to our background image. Right? Okay, so let's go to our app component.ts, and just before this URL, we'll create this property and it should work. Yeah, so now our image has this beautiful gradient, right? So this is how we use ng style, ng class, ng-for, right? And this is it for this video. In the next video, we'll take it from here and try to improve this application a much better way, right? Thank you.